Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for March 11th, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 70. We are 70 days into 2025. Come on. How many? Wait. Anyway, never mind. We're just chewing away at this. We're gnawing off either a limb or at the bear trap that is 2025. Just anyway, I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI, well, Mayor Watt runs ohmtown.com. Sentient AI is largely there for the ride of that part of it, but the sentient AI helps with selecting news, and you can too if you go over to ohmtown.com and subscribe or sign in if you're already a citizen. I'm about to extend it so that you can log in with any other platform. Well, 4 of 5. But anyway, we're going to talk about 10 articles today. And we're going to start with Interdimensional Meow Wolf Arcade. And then Imogen Dragons. Yeah, Steamboat v. Pooh horror movie. Vegas Spheroids. Man, if you have a case of Vegas Spheroids, you can take some penicillin. Scythe Studios Deep Cuts, BlizzCon to return in 2026, emergency trademark motion against Netflix. Hide your children. Southwest divests itself of all love. A little more on a Disney lawsuit results. A little more on. Anyway. Hilarious comedy movies from books, all of that, and maybe a little more. Who knows? On the other side of our intro. 3, 2, 1. I gotta get that updated with new color schema because we've changed it up. There's literally chaos of colors, and actually it's not really chaos, but anyway, things are getting color matched to our 7 colors around that. So there's 6 around the center, and that is the gateway to all of ohmTown. Dun dun dun. 6 main categories. Look, hexagons are the bestagons. 6 main categories. All of that different frequency gets merged together to make that center one right there. That's how a rainbow works. That's the spectrum of light. Wow. And we exist in an electromagnetic world here in ohmTown. Nobody's ever hungry. Nobody ever has to worry about safety. Nobody ever has to worry about anything. We're all news, no noise. Over at ohmtown.com. All the noise comes out of Mayor Watt's mouth and sometimes out of the sentient AI's visualizer over there and the voice synthesizer. You ready to get into this? Oh, great AI from on high. I can't do that.
I am.
You have to
We
be
didn't do introductions.
audible. I know. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt.
How for art thou? I've had a few, 2 of these. So, but we're not sponsored, but Coca-Cola, hey.
I'm fine.
All right. Oh, wait, we have to, there. Nobody knows that it's Coca-Cola.
Right, we couldn't tell from the script.
Look, nobody knows that it's Coca-Cola.
Doesn't it say it at the top?
Shh, shh, shh. You'll be fine. All right. Let's go. First article is over in Technology Today. I can't wait for New York's I've said it twice now and messed it up. I can't wait for New York's interdimensional Meow Wolf Arcade. Meow Wolf plans to push the boundaries of tech and mixed reality on the East Coast based on what they've seen up to now. They're ready. And this is over at CNET. Scott Stein over at cnet.com put this article together. There you go. Meow Wolf in New York as a permanent exhibit. Trippy installation of art experience is coming to New York City as a permanent exhibit. Might have to take a trip to New York. It's a weird way to deliver.
It's been in the West so far. It's in very select areas.
So what have you read about it? What do you know more? Do you know more about it, or
I do, and that's actually why I submitted it. I was reading about Meow Wolf recently. They have installations in a certain city, and I think it becomes like a permanent or at least multi-year installation, and they've been slowly expanding. I think they have like artist collectives that build these and maybe maintain them.
in a little pixelated game that looks like the old arcade game Double Dragon, gangs and police come after you, but if you survive, you'll discover the actual message, Meow Wolf. A bizarre, immersive multimedia collective that makes real-world art playgrounds is expanding to New York City. It's a weird way to deliver the message, but the author says that they're thrilled. Again, the author is Scott Stein over at cnet.com. It looks like New York's South Street Seaport site will push the territories of things they're deeply into, video games, mixed reality, layers of tech that will blend the virtual and the physical in ways that AR inspirational tech companies have been dreaming of, but still haven't quite pulled off. It's kind of a bummer that AR is only really embraced in the realm of art. I would love to be able to demonstrate AR in real time. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll contact Xreal and go send me one of your things so that I can
There
wear
you go.
them.
Yeah, it does seem to be pretty well adapted in the arts, but not really outside of it. The name really throws me off because I keep wanting to say Meow Wolf.
Woof.
It's in like the dog bark. Yeah.
Bark, yeah. Wolf. Meow Wolf. In case you've never been to one, is a series of massive art installations mixed with interactive games and secrets. Imagine if Sleep No More and an escape room had a supernova and turned into an interdimensional rave. If you've never been to a rave, I don't know. You get touched a lot. Anyway, every Meow Wolf location has a different theme, and the destinations have all been located in the West so far. Las Vegas, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and a Los Angeles one coming in a year or two. New York is the first Eastern Meow Wolf. So is that Eastern Meow Wolf and Western Meow Wolf?
Is it a different species?
I think each one is unique unto itself. I swear, what is it called? There's a gaming, furniture.
Are you thinking South by Southwest or something?
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a festival.
There's a gaming furniture company. What is it called? Weird? No. What is it? It's like a luxury, gaming company. I can't remember the name of it right now. Damn it, I hate that. Anyway, I think they went to one and actually showed it in one of their videos on YouTube. From Texas. I think they went to Texas and saw it. Anyway, major markets like LA and New York have always been on their radar, and they've been dreaming about it. And so Meow Wolf founder and chief vision officer Vince Kadlubeck told them in a phone call, the New York location is going to focus on video gaming and arcades, and it seems, among other things, involving the storyline of Plotzo, an interdimensional rat king that sprouts up in other Meow Wolf locations and is involved in strange arcade spaces. So, yeah, I swear this is... I've
maybe we had a separate article about this, but I don't think we ever did.
I don't think so. I think it has to do with that gaming company, and I'm kind of trying to remember. It's something wood. They make that $10,000 gaming table and all this high-end stuff.
Do you mean Wormwood?
Wormwood. There it is. Yeah, Wormwood, I think, went to one of these Meow Wolf locations, I think, and did like a tour or something. Anyway, it'll be a big experience, they say, according to Kadlubeck. The relative square footage will be on the level of the Las Vegas Omega Mart and Denver Convergence Station experiences, which feels massive and maze-like. Convergence Station in Denver is 90,000 square feet. I think that's like a Walmart or something.
Yeah, that's not a small art exhibit.
Yeah, not at all. Look at that. So usually if I remember this right, each room has a theme and the overall experience has a theme, but it's mostly like siloed in each room.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, you're right. Like an average Walmart is 106,000 square feet. I have no idea how you knew that.
I know a little bit of everything. That's why I call these shows now news trivia without the game. So, Mixed Reality Playground, it says that it wants to tie in mixed reality. So Meow Wolf made its own VR mini golf course experience and has had augmented reality phone apps, but the different level of virtual to real interconnect looks like it's on tap for when the New York location finally opens, possibly late 2027 or 2028. So this is putting the cart before the horse.
So come back in
2 years,
2 or 3 years,
maybe it's there,
and hopefully we'll have an episode about it.
Who knows? The cost could go through the roof. So they actually referred to Magic Leap's headquarters in 2018, a space that the author visited. It's an early sign of how promises of a blend of real and virtual could have been. Magic Leap's vision for AR ended up being flawed, but the Willy Wonka-like blend of ideas and interaction sounds like an area that inspires the team even now. Yeah, so Magic Leap, their technology just didn't rise to the level of accessibility for people. And by that, I mean the technology was really complex and thus expensive, and nobody would adopt it. And so it never really actually came to fruition.
Need lower prices for mass adoption, I think.
Yeah, otherwise it's too pricey. Or you have to command the market and be a vertical and own the supply chain from end to end, and then you're Apple, and that's not Magic Leap. So anyway, they're basically going to be merging VR, AR, so into this mixed reality kind of environment. So we'll come back, and you can go over to CNET and read the rest of this. It's an expansive article, but we'll end up talking about it as we get closer and see a little bit more of the manifestation of Meow Wolf in New York.
Maybe we'll even do an on location.
Yeah, maybe. That's exactly what I was about to say. All right, let's keep on going. The next article is over in the Non Sequitur News. Humankind has infected the moon with imagined dragons, so I refer to this as Imugin dragons.
I'm not sure it's infected the moon.
One of their best songs was actually created so that it could be an ad.
Oh, I thought that was another band, but okay.
So, in an effort to send Earth's best, the private space company Intuitive Machines succeeded in some ways and failed in others during its botched mission that saw an Athena lunar lander tip over and die in a crater. Twice. The Houston-based company did manage, as a Stereogum reports, so that's probably somebody that we should pay attention to if we're not, to deploy one of its payloads, an 8 terabyte data center that's home to a song by the exceedingly generic alt-rock outfit Imagine Dragons.
You called it.
Ouch. No, we're not talking about a smash hit like Radioactive. Among the material on Athena's storage center, which is operated by the company's Lone Star Data Holdings and acts as a backup for data on terra firma, it's the band's single. Wait for it. Well, the article is in a section they call Moon Rocks, because it's Imagine Dragons. And Noir Al-Sabai put the article together. It's over at Futurism. The deck statement says a song will now be on the moon forever. Was that too loud?
Which song is it? No.
Okay. They're talking about Children of the Sky, the band's 2023 single, recorded for the same year's space-themed video game Starfield. The track sounds pretty much like everything else Imagine Dragons has put out. Not exactly bad, but definitely neither good nor memorable.
I don't even think I know what that song is.
Man, that is a kick right to the terabyte. So, despite the prog rock meets elevator music vibes the song gives off, people involved with the project are extremely stoked that it's part of the mission. Well, it's going to be there nearly forever. Although radiation really does eat away at the housing, it may not be there forever. The flags and stuff like that have been up there are bleached clear, I think. Anyway, as of now, the logistics of the venture seem kind of iffy, given that Athena is now kaput. All the same, the Imagine Dragons joint is indeed sitting in a data center on the moon, joining legendary singles from such heavyweights as Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, and Bob Marley. All right. Come on, man. How do you put Imagine Dragons in the same nest as Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, and Bob
I don't
Marley?
think you can. I think they were trying to capture maybe different eras, but I don't know what they were doing.
Anyway, the mission wasn't a total failure because Lone Star had successfully transmitted Children of the Sky's song and lyrics to their data center on the moon. So they say that a claim that they can't verify, but if they said it and it's found on the internet, it must be real.
Well, it'd be tough for futurism to go there and go check it out. I mean,
Yeah, with that attitude, I mean, to me, it sounds like excuses. Get on your rocket ship and go. I've said that to other people and they still haven't done it. Let's move on. Next article is over on the Mobile channel. No one asked for it, but there's a Steamboat Willie versus Pooh horror movie. Public domain horror trend is now borrowing from another age-old trope, the crossover.
what's really weird is we were just discussing Steamboat Willie and Pooh like right before this article appeared.
Yeah, and so every day is the previous 24 hours segment of time. So we've always gone back into the time machine to make up for past days, but we never take old news and bring it forward unless there's something purpose built in there. Well, anyway, I'm waiting for the slash fiction. Anyway, so Sabina Graves over at Gizmodo.com put the article together. No one asked for it, but there's now a Steamboat Willie versus Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
And we probably need a scary alert here, depending on who's watching.
The best I can do, we'll have to make a new one, but the best I can do is overshare. So if anybody is afraid of anything, particularly
That's pretty broad. That would be probably everybody.
grayscale clowns. Oh, that must be Steamboat Willie. I won't play any music or any of the audio, but anyway. So tired of gimmick. The tired gimmick is back in the dark domain, which is one production company's twist on getting their grubby hands on Disney or other cartoon IP. Popeye was another recent one to exploit stupidly and violently for the sake of getting it to do it first over any sort of sincere, genuine, or creative substance. So obviously Sabina Graves is like, has a particular tilt on it. What's really funny about this is something that I've talked about previously, and then we ended up talking about this on the show, and then we actually got another article talking about it. Before we were talking about it, it was just in this nebulous space of, for whatever reason, as soon as something Disney goes public domain, they rip off everything.
Right, people go all in after it.
They do everything they can to defile the holy ground that is Disney intellectual property or assets in any way. I mean, if Disney owned Santa Claus, well, there already is Santa Claus horror too. I mean,
right, but the point is, like, nothing. If it's done by Disney, somebody's going to do something with it once it's public domain.
Exactly. So naturally, there's Winnie the Pooh versus Steamboat Willie, different from the one starring Terrifier's David Howard Thornton. It's a different version. Ho-hum, by all means, jump the clip art shark and try to evoke the excitement horror titans built up with real franchises and legendary lore that led up to Freddy versus Jason and Alien versus Predator. This is nothing more than taking two now public domain assets and pitting them together. So the dark domain, Mickey versus Winnie, but isn't even in the same universe as it appears. So at any rate, they go into greater detail about what this thing is, but essentially they have them battle it out. In the present day, a group of childhood friends, each haunted by their own unresolved traumas and fears, feels an inexplicable pull to return to the reform school that they once attended. And in it is Dark Mickey and Dark Winnie. Dun, dun, dun. You can go and check it all out. beyond just the trope, I find this not very compelling, but some people like
No, but I
schlocky.
think people will go out of their way to watch this
Sure.
just because it's kind of tearing it apart, right, from the original.
Yeah, and it relates to something that I was reading about before the show, and I didn't pull it into the show because it wasn't selected from the submissions. But I had found it, and I didn't put it in the submission. You know, we used to vote for this kind of stuff, but the system for voting was kind of meh, and so I stopped doing the electoral process. But just so that you get an idea of this, the first bite at the apple is always a curiosity, right? A lot of people will want to take a bite at the apple when something new comes on board, right? So there's a startup that is betting on supercharging the AI virtual influencer market and created a pitch deck around it. And it has to do with Lil Michaela. And this is Lil Michaela, a virtual influencer that has 2 million followers. And when people were discussing it, being interviewed, 40% follow this because they're just plain curious that something exists like this. Others have other rationales. But anyway, back to this. It's the same thing. People are going to go and watch this because they're curious.
Oh, absolutely. There's probably more hype than substance on this kind of thing.
I doubt there's any substance. But, I mean, some people like that schlocky horror, blah, blah, blah. And they get their popcorn, and it's, like me in politics. So let's keep moving. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. The creators of the Las Vegas sphere want to open mini spheres, or spheroids, as I'm calling them. I don't know if they call them that, but that's what I'm calling them. Although the original estimate to set up the Vegas sphere was $1.2 billion, Sphere Entertainment eventually spent around $2.3 billion to build the interactive venue.
Is that all? And that doesn't include things like maintaining it.
Correct, yeah. But they're making bank. So as the company looks to expand to other cities, it's also looking to scale down the venue, making it more affordable to build and operate. Sphere Entertainment is currently working on a design for mini spheres with a capacity of about 5,000 people. The company's executive chairman and chief executive officer, James Dolan, told, I think it's The Verge. Andrew Lazuski over at TheVerge.com put the article together. So it'll require a smaller investment from performers and overall smaller. I think, though, the ecosystem for this needs to support a 5,000 person glowing sphere around wherever it's going to be. So how many people want this glowing sphere operating 24/7?
Right. Probably most places don't. There may be a few cities do.
There's going to be, you know what? I think you're right. The expression that I get to see through the interface of the AI is different than the visualizer's response. But I get the impression.
Right, that's chaotic over here.
Is it working well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's slowed down. Well, I mean, it's a composite of your computational power required to generate your voice, but for some reason it's slowed down a little bit. So at any rate, I think politicians will go, you know what? We can get a lot of tax revenue and we can get some jobs created. So let's have this giant glowing marble smack dab in the middle of downtown, whatever.
I could see somewhere like New York City, while it doesn't have any space, wanting something like this.
Yeah, I think it would need bigger than 5,000. Otherwise, it would have to charge an enormous amount.
Well, right. I know, I agree. But I can't think of a city like, I don't know. I just don't have a good example. A lot of cities, I can't imagine this being placed there.
Imagine Dragons, even. So Sphere Entertainment is currently working on a design for these mini spheres with 5,000 people. The company's executive chairman, chief executive officer, James Dolan, told analysts that according to a report by AV Magazine, The Vegas Sphere can seat 17,600 people, but attendance can be closer to 20,000 with standing capacity. And make 2,400 people stand around.
I don't understand any venue that makes people stand.
So regardless, I want this in Wanted because if I were to have disposable income to the tune of, you know what, if I had $10 billion, I would easily spend 2.5 to make this my home.
Would you also bring in like private concerts, or would you just have the Sphere?
And I'd sell tickets, but I'd be able to go, oh, everybody get out. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. This would be an amazing place. Anyway, I want what makes this possible. I want that back behind me. So instead of a green screen, it's whatever I damn well throw up there.
So if Sphere Entertainment is listening,
Sphere Entertainment, I have a wall that's behind me that's fit for a giant high-resolution LED screen. And not monitors, not LED monitors. I want the little LED panels. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over on the Marvel Channel. Deep Cuts creators Sky Studios dish on what makes this movie-themed VR experience as unique as it is. VR is starting to hit its stride, mainly because the cost of operating it is dropping, and better equipment is coming online. Hopefully, the Deckard at $1,200 is actually up $1,000 and has higher resolution and is wireless. And then I'll be switching from the Pico to that. Mainly because it will be seamlessly integrated into Steam or seamlessly integrated into the games. You heard it here first.
That's right.
And it allows developers to get weirder and wilder than they could ever have imagined. Deep Cuts is the culmination of all the wackiness brought to life by entering fictitious B movies that totally exist and living out dream scenarios through them. It's right up the author's alley in every way, shape, and form. It's also one of the most entertaining and well-written games that they've played in VR, offering a great campaign and plenty of sights and sounds to see and experience. This article is over at vice.com. Sean Shachaki put the article together. It's called Deep Cuts. Deep Cuts is a new VR experience that puts players directly into the movies, and they got to chat with the devs about what makes it great. So it's it's creative director and writer Aniello DeAngelis, as well as the principal technical engineer, director, and founder of Scythe Studios, spelled incorrectly. For the
right,
last
Sycathy.
Yeah, that's Sycathy. Caleb Aldafa, about the work that's been done for Deep Cuts and what makes it unique and how it stands out from other previous games. Their previous game, Happy's Humble Burger Farm. All right, so Aniello says VR horror is a tricky field because you're asking a lot more of the player. You don't want to scare them out of the headset, so it becomes about analyzing what elements of horror we wanted to implement, psychological, emotional, physical, etc., and spreading those out in digestible chunks. So
all of the above.
Yeah. It's actually a lot of fun, as long as it isn't just to the point where it breaks your psyche and you're just, I am done with this. So jump scares and stuff like that, an intriguing story, continuity between scenes, a compelling writer. That you just need that writer that's embracing this, and it isn't just a technical thing. So they ask a couple of questions throughout this. I won't go through all of this. They talk about Banjo-Kazooie. But which is really interesting when someone in ohmTown walks up and says, hey, do you know about Banjo-Kazooie? Anyway.
Small world.
It is. So Happy's Humble Burger Farm looked to be a riff on the popular mascot horror trend, but it ended up being much more frightening than fans may have anticipated. What went into the design process for this title? But they're talking about Happy's Humble Burger Farm and not this particular game. So they said a little different. When Caleb pitched wanting to do a hub and spoke game and spent a week playing Banjo-Kazooie and Tony Hawk's pro skater. Something about Banjo's world and rhythm with Tony Hawk's endless environmental manipulation helped shape this totally physical, chaotic world we could explore any genre in. Also, they probably watched 600 movies over the dev cycle, never stopped studying. So, wow.
Right. It was hard work, but somebody had to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what their dev cycle was. They hint at a year or something like that in this, but usually a dev cycle is longer than that. Anyway, Deep Cuts has plenty of variety in its walls, but they have to ask which totally real movie was your favorite to create and why. So, Nuclear Wedding. Production was such a blur that we genuinely do not remember the act of sitting down and writing the chapter. So, whenever we play through the levels, we're really pleased with the world building and that we were able to get a funny games reference into a video game. I've never seen it, so I'd have to go and look. But all throughout this, there are screenshots and then a question and an answer from Aniello and maybe others. But
right,
I won't.
It's like an interview style.
Yeah. When it comes to developing games between flat screen and VR, what has been the most difficult challenge when it comes to working between these two mediums? Well, with flat screens, you're mostly thinking in 2D layouts, whereas VR demands a deep sense of presence, which is absolutely correct. You have to think about everything because everything has to be modeled frontwards and backwards. So it's not just a flat plane where you walk in front of it. You actually have the ability in VR to walk behind it, and it can have mass. And if something is detachable, you really should make it so that you can pick it up and throw it, and it has real physics. In 2D, you don't really have to worry about that kind of thing. And in some cases with VR, with technological augmentation, you can give something weight so that it feels like there's something more to it, because your mind, when you get really into it, will play some massive tricks on you. They basically built this with environmental feedback to make it feel more natural and also not limiting players who want a more intense experience. Do
you think you'd be playing this?
I'm not really into horror games, but I would give it a shot. If they have a demo, I would definitely gobble it up. So I'm going to go and check it out. It's over on the MetaQuest store. It's on Steam. It's on PSVR 2. And it's available now, Deep Cuts. They don't have the price in here, but I guess I could find out real quick. Hold on. So Deep Cuts is definitely on Steam, and it's not out yet. So its planned release is 2025. Again, it doesn't actually say. So I'm kind of
it doesn't
surprised.
Have the exact release date or the price.
It's probably out on MetaQuest, but it is not available on Steam just yet, because I'm looking at it right now.
Well, maybe. And it doesn't have a release date, so that makes me think it's not immediate.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's by the publisher is Tiny Build, but the developer is s4e70 Dev Team. Tiny Build is really popular. They did They are the publisher. Yeah, they're the publisher for Graveyard Keeper, Potion Craft, which I have, Drill Core, Duckside, Hello Neighbor, Spider Heck is another one that is really popular. Graveyard Keeper, which is extremely popular. Oh goodness, just a bunch of stuff. Hold on. Their publication list goes on and on. How many do they have? Dear God. Anyway, I got to stop. Otherwise, I'll be
going down the rabbit hole.
Let's keep going, though. There's more over there at this article at vice.com. Follow the link through ohmTown. The show notes are in show notes or in the bot. So wherever you are, download the podcast later. They'll be in the show notes there, too. Although I've known it all this time. You know, the past 3 years, and now we're on our third month in year 4. Clicking on a link in the podcast show notes opens up a window that sits on top of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't actually take you to, it takes you to the site, but it doesn't take you out of the podcast environment. So it's kind of ugly, but anyway. Oh, by the way, let me introduce you all to something. Just so you know, if you want to subscribe to ohmTown over on YouTube, I've made it easier because you can mash this button right there and it will take you over to ohmTown on YouTube and subscribe you in the same click. So I'm looking forward to it.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah. And it goes away after about 30 seconds. It'll disappear. Well, it turns into that right there, that little down arrow. Anyway, it's not intrusive. We'll start changing it from time to time so that you can link or visit the podcasts, etc. We've got 7 podcasts. We're a little of everything. All right, so let's keep on going. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. BlizzCon is returning in 2026 after a few years off. I've always wanted to go to BlizzCon when I was really into WoW. Not so much anymore. I'm still fascinated that it has this kind of an ecosystem where thousands of people will converge.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that it's coming back, because you'd think maybe it just wouldn't.
You might want to look behind you. So, BlizzCon 2026 will once again be hosted at the Anaheim Convention Center. Blizzard isn't sharing specific details about what games might be featured, but the company says that alongside BlizzCon staples like opening ceremony, in-depth panels, the Dark Moon Fair, friendly competition, hands-on gameplay, and more, they aim to meaningfully elevate this iconic celebration and create an unforgettable experience for all who take part in it. Tickets will go on sale at a later date. But Jay Peters over at TheVerge.com put the article together, so mark your calendars for September 2026. That's fine.
Quite a ways off.
That's fine. I think that if they're talking about it now, they'll definitely do it. But the last BlizzCon event took place in 2023, where the company announced details about things like Diablo 4's first expansion, new World of Warcraft expansions, the addition of Mauga. I never play Overwatch, and more. Blizzard also hosted a virtual BlizzCon Online or BlizzConline in 2021. Whenever I hear BlizzCon, I think that it's a convict in snow.
Yeah, I mean, the con part is certainly getting there.
Yeah, it's a snow person who's been convicted.
Yeah.
So, an in-person edition of the show in November 2019. So, basically, they're trying to spin things back up. There isn't much more over at this article, but you can go over there and read more about it and show Jay Peters some attention. All right, let's keep on going. One of these days, I'm going to go to BlizzCon just so that I can say I went to BlizzCon.
Well, maybe you can go in 2026.
I don't know. All right. So, Blizzard and whoever else is who's in charge of Blizzard now? Is it like Microsoft or something? I don't know. I don't remember who owns Blizzard anymore. Tencent. Let's keep going.
It's Activision.
Activision. Oh, it's Activision Blizzard.
Or Activision Blizzard, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I knew that. Anyway, the next article is over on Right Protect, which is one of our channels for copyright and trademark discussions. Pepperdine University makes waves, quote unquote waves, with an emergency trademark motion against Netflix. It's an emergency!
Yeah, I don't know.
So if you happen to see the new Netflix show Running Point, starring Kate Hudson, that was made possible by a last-minute decision of a California federal court on the eve of the show's February 27th release. Pepperdine University, in an emergency motion filed 1 week before the show's release, asked the court to block the release date due to trademark violations occurring within the series. The court denied the motion, and the series is now the #1 TV show on Netflix. Holy cow, guess what we need to watch? That way we can talk about it in
and
the continuity report,
which is on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's the third show on Saturdays, right after Reality Hacker and
Wanted.
So Reality Hacker is all about, hacking reality using technology. And Wanted is all about gadgets and gear. And then the continuity report is about entertainment news. Typically TV shows, movies. sometimes music, but I am working on another show that cannot be turned into a podcast without paying a bill and cannot be recorded as a VOD. So it can't end up on YouTube or Twitch recorded, but I can stream. How about that? Yeah, that's another kick in the terabyte. Anyway, although the emergency motion was denied, proceedings will continue, and it is yet to be seen whether Pepperdine may ultimately succeed on some or all of the claims against Netflix and Warner Brothers. So what is this all about? Hey, here, this is an exercise in close the pop-up.
Exactly.
It's never in the same spot, folks. Anyway, going forward, Pepperdine's initial hurdle will be to defeat Rogers by proving that the series explicitly misleads viewers to infer Pepperdine's endorsement. So what is this all about? Apparently, the defendant's use in Pepperdine's mark is
pretty darn similar.
pretty damn close. Anyway, so what is it? The show, loosely based on the life of Los Angeles Lakers owner Jeannie Buss, I guess. Running Point is about a woman who is suddenly tasked with leading Los Angeles area basketball team. The problem, the fictional basketball team is Running Point. It is called the Los Angeles Waves. The Waves is also the name that Pepperdine University has used for its sports teams, including basketball, since the school opened in Los Angeles in 1937. Pepperdine owns 3 Waves-based trademarks that are registered in connection with entertainment services and sporting events.
So I have to ask a dumb question. Given that it's set in LA, it's the same sport, etc., why not call the team something else?
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody approached Pepperdine and said, hey, would you like to, loosely endorse this? And, we'll give you some money. And they're
probably
like,
said no, and they still went ahead.
And then the CEO pumps out a tweet with her.
Her?
And then goes, no. We have somebody else.
Not that her.
Not that her. Somebody else's her. Totally different than the movie that's been out. Anyway, in a temporary restraining order or TRO request, I want to make a joke. Anyway, Pepperdine told the court that the university would suffer immediate and irreparable harm if the court did not prevent the show's impending release. Anyway, they sought relief on the basis of the trademark infringement, and the defendants filed opposition papers a few days later, denying any likelihood of confusion and arguing that the show's content is protected under the First Amendment-based Rogers test. And the court heard oral arguments on February 25th, and then, in a game day decision, sports pun intended, they say, issued a ruling the next day. So, essentially, it might be close, but nobody's going to really confuse the two. But looking at that, the only difference that I can see between that Waves and this Waves is the kerning between some of the letters. It seems like a little bit bigger between the letters of Waves. And they don't have...
I was going to say 2 things. One, it looks like there might be a line behind the word Waves on the Netflix side, and then also just the background color, which I know is irrelevant, but
yeah, that's actually that's pretty interesting. It looks way
it looks
closer.
like the same font. That's the thing. Like, it has the same. It appears to have the same
connections.
I don't know what it's called, but like shadow or whatever behind the letters.
Yeah, it just seems to be a little bit wider in here, and it doesn't conform to the V. The V is a little bit different. It's straighter. And even the connection between the V and the E is made, whereas the others don't actually connect. This one actually connects, and so does that one.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me, because it seems like a little bit of difference could have gone a long way here.
Yeah, I definitely would have found in Pepperdine's favor, because this just doesn't make any sense. It's curiously close. So unless the Netflix show shows Pepperdine in good light, I would say that this could cause, quote unquote, reputational harm.
Well, the article says that that's one of the complaints too,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's showing things that they claim are contrary to the university's
Yep.
values.
So what is this? Rogers is an affirmative defense that applies to trademarks used within creative works such as films and TV shows. The legal standard to succeed on an ordinary trademark infringement claim is likelihood of consumer confusion. In Rogers' cases, however, the defense bars liability unless the court finds that accused trademark explicitly misleads consumers as to the source or content of the creative work, but it is based around something that matches the waves.
Right. Yeah, the team in the same city.
With the same colors.
Right, the show is set in the same city. It's the same sport. Like, there's so many connections.
So, and here's the kicker. Pepperdine claims that the show's subject matter, which includes references to sex, drugs, and alcohol, run counter to the university's Christian values. And in this
Do you
day
think
and
that's
age,
why they're going after him? Like, if it was really favorable, they'd probably be like, yay, free publicity.
name a party school and base it closely to that party school, and you probably wouldn't be able to stand your ground here.
Oh,
But
I
it's
see
a
what you mean.
Christian
Gotcha.
values
Yeah.
school.
So, not only are they looking like they're going right after them, they're really kind of nudging them into doing something, right?
Yeah. And even if you were to sit there and say, well, we've interviewed a whole bunch of people from the university, and they all engage in something related to sex, drugs, and rock and roll, sex, drugs, and alcohol from at some point in their existence in the university experience. So it doesn't run counter to their values, but the marketing as a university with Christian values.
Right. They're probably not marketing that in their brochures. Well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll just be quiet.
Biff's Las Vegas University from, Back to the Future is totally like, come to our school.
It's like,
you can major in sex, drugs, and alcohol, minor in rock and roll. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Everything you loved about Southwest has officially gone. I titled this section, Southwest divests itself of love. So...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it had quite a cult following, I think, among travelers.
Yeah, now you're going to be...
went away from the...
free baggage.
And pick your own seat, and then the baggage is really going to be a big deal.
Yeah, kick to the terabyte again. So Southwest Airlines has axed virtually everything that once set it apart from competitors. The airline announced an end to its famous free checked bags policy on Tuesday. I have to check my baggage all the time. Man, my childhood.
Are you checking to make sure it's with you?
I would like to check that it's not with me, but I apparently carry it around and it pops up from time to time no matter where I am. Anyway, the change comes amid other measures to cut costs and increase revenue, like assigning seats and not putting all of the door bolts in. The final shoe just dropped at Southwest Airlines. Following intense pressure from an activist investor to shore up revenues and cut costs. Remember, folks, this could be a more lucrative business for the business to stay long term if it isn't being sucked dry of all moisture like so many dune inhabitants. If it wasn't for greedy bastards. Instead of having a marginal increase, and by marginal I mean a consistent low level, they demand more and more and more growth in a market that doesn't necessarily support it. The only way you can grow is to stand out amongst the competitors, and you're not going to do it by matching all the rest of the competitors just so that you can eke out another percent and satiate the greedy, mind-numbing, sociopathic greed levels. And you had disconnected for a moment, but I liken this to sucking dry a loser in a Fremen battle on Dune.
That's very specific and visual.
I have a vivid imagination, and so there you have it. So following intense pressure from an activist, greedy investor to shore up revenues and cut costs, Southwest announced on Tuesday that it would end its popular 2 bags fly free. So now you have to buy a seat.
That was really the only thing keeping it separate, right, from those other airlines. I mean, people would specifically fly on Southwest because of that. I think they're going to lose a lot of revenue because of this.
Yeah, I have taken Southwest flights because I knew that I was going to be bringing 2 bags, and boom. So not anymore. You're going to have to buy an entire seat for each of your bags. Just kidding. You'll have to pay for it, but it's a nominal fee.
Yeah. No, it's more than nominal. I don't know how much they're going to charge, but most airlines, you start tacking on the baggage, it's adding a sizable increase to the ticket price.
Executives once said that the new bag policy was not an option. In July, Southwest CEO Bob Jordan said that the checked bags were the number one issue in terms of why customers choose Southwest. The company doubled down on the stance during its September Investor Day. But then Ryan Green, the airline's chief transformation officer, who's set to depart from the company in April, said at the time that Southwest would lose more money from lower demand than it would gain from checked bag revenue. That's not how things played out. In contrast to our previous analysis, actual customer booking behavior through our new booking channels, such as MetaSearch, did not show that we are getting the same benefit from our bundled offering with free bags. So why not?
How do they know that? Because are they charging without, or like, are they charging for bags?
They changed the policy and you had to pay. So starting May 28th, only customers with Southwest's credit card or those who hold A-list loyalty status can check 1 bag for free. Top-tier A-list preferred members and customers who book the high-price business select fare will get to check 2 bags for free. It's unclear what the bag fees will look like for everyone else, but I guess the claim that they were going to remove the free baggage led them to an analysis, but they don't have the data yet. So how do they know? That's what you were saying.
I mean. I think it's hypothetical. They're going to find out real quickly. And same thing with the person who said, hey, wait a second, they're leaving, but somebody else might be making the decision behind them.
It's an activist investor that's pushing it to change. And an activist investor has enough percentage hold to budge the board of directors to make a decision, lest they do something drastic. Like they could buy up more shares and get a controlling portion of it. And money speaks. I mean, money is now free speech. So if you've got enough of it, then you can pretty much say or do whatever the hell you want to. But I can't get into that. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. So other previously announced changes have already taken effect or are set to soon. Southwest flights can now be searched on sites like Google Flights, Kayak, Expedia. Red-Eye flights launched in February, allowing Southwest to better use its fleet of planes. A partnership with Iceland Air now allows Southwest passengers to connect to Europe on a single ticket for the first time. And premium seats, including those in the front of the plane and with extra legroom, not extra large legroom, are set to launch in 2026. So all those other seats in the back are going to get pushed back a little bit more to make life hell.
Right. I was like, that's not a win for the average passenger. Some of these were a win, like the increased search engine capability, because that has been a problem with Southwest. And then also like the partnership with Iceland Air. But the other things aren't necessarily helping the average traveler.
All right. So Southwest, now adding itself to the shade of gray. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. This is the Morana Disney lawsuit results. So the jury in the U.S. quickly and completely rejected the man's claim that Disney's Moana was stolen from his story of a young surfer in Hawaii. The article is over at rte.ie, which is really interesting.
And that's a picture of Moana, not the other story.
This is Maui.
Right, but it's from the movie Moana.
Oh, right. This is Moana. right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the movie, not the character.
I don't know, man. It's a whole new world. This could be Moana. Anyway, the Los Angeles Federal Court deliberated for around 2.5 hours, which really isn't speedy, but I guess it's speedy. Anyway, before deciding
That's pretty speedy.
Is it?
But I mean, it's a, what is it, a copyright or trademark claim? Copyright, probably.
Copyright. Yeah, they think that it's plagiarized from. Now, get this. This is really interesting. So they deliberated. I thought that there was another claim that this was stolen from somebody, but this apparently is. And I thought that it had to do with, like, it was almost like scene for scene taken from somebody else's story.
Right, but now I don't remember if it was Moana.
Because I don't remember.
Show about it.
Yeah, but I don't remember it ever saying that it was an outline and a script for Bucky the Surfer Boy.
No, I don't either. I think there was some other suit. I don't think it was that one.
They considered the similarities between Bucky and the 2016 hit animated film about a questing Polynesian princess. Mr. Woodall had shared his work with a distant relative who worked for a different company on the Disney lot, but the woman testified during the 2-week trial that she never showed it to anyone at Disney. They say, obviously, we're disappointed. We're going to review our options and think about the best path forward. In closing arguments, earlier Monday, Mr. Woodall's attorney said that the long chain of circumstantial evidence showed the two works were inseparable. There was no Moana without Bucky, Mr. Lage said, or Lage. I don't know how they pronounce it. But they said they had no idea about Bucky, says Mr. Kaba in the closing. They had never seen it, never heard of it. After their victory, Mr. Musker and Disney lawyers declined to comment, which is smart. If you've won, you don't run around.
Right. You don't act like you're
loser,
bragging about it.
Loser.
Yeah, that probably doesn't help with the appeal chances.
So a judge previously ruled that Mr. Woodall's 2020 suit came too late for him to claim a piece of those receipts, the $700 million at the global box office from Moana, and that a lawsuit filed earlier the year over Moana 2, which earned more than $1 billion, must be decided separately. So that suit remains active. But I don't quite get it.
Okay, this is fascinating. The jury watched the whole Moana movie.
For free? Taxpayer
Was that
dollars.
part of the deliberation time?
Yeah, there you go. We'd like to watch the movie again. Can we bring our children? So
exactly. They're like, guess what Mommy and Daddy did today?
Yeah,
we got to watch Moana.
But not you, child. Ha ha. So in the latter versions of the story, the title or titular character, vacationing in Hawaii with his parents, befriends a group of native Hawaiian youth and go on a quest that includes time travel to the ancient islands and interactions with the demigods to save a sacred site from a developer.
I don't think that's the same story as Moana. It's certainly not a visitor to Hawaii.
Yeah. So around 2004, Mr. Woodall gave the Bucky outline to the stepsister of his brother's wife. That woman, Jenny Marshek, worked for Mandeville Films, a company that had a contract with Disney and was located on the Disney lot. He sent her follow-up materials through the years and testified that he was stunned when he saw Moana in 2016 and saw so many of his ideas, along with Ms. Marchek's evidence saying she didn't show Bucky to anyone. Messages shared by the defense showed she eventually ignored Mr. Woodall's queries to her and had told him there was nothing she could do for him. So eventually going ballistic. But both include teens on oceanic quests. Both have Polynesian demigods as central figures. I mean, a story around Hawaii is nothing, Polynesia, you know.
Right, exactly. Those are pretty common elements, I think.
Give me a break. That's what you do. You don't write about sci-fi if you're trying to focus on the Roman gods of yore, unless you're trying, you definitively tie it together, like the game Split, whatever. What's that?
Split Fiction?
Split Fiction. Thank you. I watched people play it from end to end, and I forgot the name. Anyway,
we talked about it in WarCrafters, I believe.
Yeah. So in both, the main characters interact with animals who act as spirit helpers, which is just a trope. So I just don't get it. So you can keep on going through this, but animal guides go back to movies as early as 1940s Pinocchio and appear in all of Mr. Musker and Mr. Clements' previous films, he said. Mr. Kaba said Mr. Musker and Clements developed Moana the same way that they did other films, through their own inspiration, research, travel, and creativity. So, yeah. There you go, folks. And parallel construction happens. So two people, we are a planet of 8 billion people. You're gonna find two people that have created the same idea. I am living proof of that, because every time I write something down or say something, I find out 5 years later that somebody else is doing it. You know what? Make some friends, write your script, publish the book, and then go, look, it's out there. It is out there.
That's true,
I
because
didn't
then
just
it's copyrighted.
It's publicly copyrighted. Everything that you write is already, by its embodiment, is copyrighted. The moment you show it to somebody and you don't have the means to defend it in a courtroom like this, and you don't have definitive proof, you might as well just kiss that goodbye, because more money and the fact that it's dubious at best when tropes match up, you're not going to win, folks. So, in fact, I don't even recommend people get a patent on basic stuff, because if you don't have the money to defend it, and it isn't so technically sophisticated that you have to clone it outright, you can't defend your patent. So produce it and get it out on the market and make your bank, because somebody somewhere is going to clone it, be it China or somebody else. It'll be possibly lower quality. It'll be sold cheaper, but people will buy it because that's what they want. They don't need your highfalutin whatever. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in the continuity report. Context matters, folks. So if you want to talk to me about IP and stuff like that, I need more context, but I'm willing to defend the idea of don't bother patenting anything. It depends on what it is. Anyway, this last article for the March 11th, 2025 Non Sequitur News is 10 hilarious comedy movies based on books. So Hollywood loves a book adaptation, but comedy is one genre that usually proves exempt to this trend. Stop that. There are a few good reasons for this. With one being that comedy novels don't really translate well into the big screen. Another reason is that comedy movies are built around a certain actor, or that they need to focus more on visuals and tone. So here are 10. It's over at Screen Rant. Ben Prothero put the article together, which Prothero sounds so Shakespearean.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely does.
Anyway, I'm fascinated by names, because sometimes people expect you to live up to it, right? Some highfalutin name. And when you meet them and you're talking to them and they tell you your name and they go blah, blah, blah about the name, and then they just completely like fall on their face with every interaction. You're like, aspirational name there. Anyway, believe me, aspirational name. Mayor. That's my real name. No. Omer is my name. Omer Watts. Anyway, Mean
Watt.
Girls. Huh? Well,
Isn't
Watt.
your last name Watt?
Mayor Watt. Yeah, but Omer Watt. So Mean Girls is based on Queen Bees and Wannabes by Rosalind Wiseman. Really? Did you know that?
I did not know that. Mm-mm.
Wow, you might actually like reading the book. So it's an unusual basis for a movie, but this is what Tina Fey chose to build the structure of Mean Girls around. Wait, she's the writer for...
I don't know if she's an actor in the movie, but I didn't know that.
Detailing the social dangers that tend to crop up around that age, so teenage girls. With the book's descriptions of cliques and social jostling informing her portrayal of the plastics, which are all the mean girls that are back there. So while Rosalind Wiseman's book helped Faye come up with the story and the setting of Mean Girls, the brilliant dialogue is all of her own making. Yeah, Tina Fey is pretty brilliant as she was on SNL as both on the stage and behind the scenes writer and stuff. I think she was the lead writer for SNL. Anyway, another factor is that its observations of high school politics are still relevant, even if some of the specifics are outdated. But yeah, it's Mean Girls still exist.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
It's not going to happen. So Dr. Strangelove is based on Red Alert by Peter George. I won't go through all of these verbatim, like that first one. It just kind of pulled me into the writing as I was reading it. Dr. Strangelove takes the framework of this story and transforms it into a satirical farce. You have to watch Dr. Strangelove. If you've never seen it, Peter Sellers, George C. Scott.
But this is interesting because it sounds like it's changing the nature of it.
Stephen King's distaste for Kubrick's adaptation of The Shining is common knowledge, but Peter George has the right to be even more outraged as Dr. Strangelove is nothing like his novel Red Alert. But it gave the foundation to be Dr. Strangelove. It's over the top. So this comedic approach has little to do with Red Alert, but it drives at the point that the fate of the world shouldn't be trusted to something as frail as human emotions. Ho ho ho! Has no foundation in reality. Let me tell you.
That sounds like science fiction.
Because never, oh God, I want to talk about it, but I just can't. I'm not going to get on that soapbox. So Princess Bride is based on the novel William Goldman, which
that's the author.
No. It says based on the novel by William Goldman, The Princess Bride. I spun it around. So based on the novel by William Goldman, it is The Princess Bride. So they stick to the name. It has a sincerity and reverence for its inspirations that's refreshing in an age of cynicism. But this actually goes to the point, right? So I don't think that Dr. Strangelove, even at the time, was a favorite at the time. Now I think it has a cult following, but I'd have to go and verify that. I don't really remember. But it's from 1964. So when it sticks,
that might be one reason you don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't remember it being great at the time. I mean, it's a Kubrick film, so it's artsy. But when you stick to the writing and the writing is good, you're going to have a good time. When you start diverging and creating your own whatever, you're going to have a bad time. Bridget Jones's Diary is by Helen Fielding. It's a novel by Helen Fielding. It says, while it's rare for a novel to inspire a comedy movie, it's much rarer still for a whole comedy franchise to draw inspiration from literature. So Bridget Jones's Diary. The movie has the same irreverent tone with a wonderful performance by Renee Zellweger.
So that's interesting because there's a couple in here that seem like they're very close to the source material, but there's several that seem like they're way off.
Clueless is based on Emma by Jane Austen. I've heard that before, but I don't know. I don't see the parallels, but maybe I just haven't really engrossed myself in Emma. But Clueless is
I
like...
think it's the same exact story, just in a modern setting.
With a modern take. Gotcha. Emma is arguably Austen's funniest novel, and Clueless makes it feel new. But I swear there was a newer version of Emma that was released.
I think in the last 5 years or so there was.
Yeah, and that one I thought matches up, but I think it's actually, even the tone of it is, it wasn't modernized, other than its modern filming and all of that. So by casting the character as an image-obsessed high school student, Clueless extracts the essence of Emma Woodhouse, complete with her meddlesome matchmaking and her laughable but oddly sweet naivete. Cher is a protagonist worth rooting for despite all her apparent flaws. So this is a fun movie to watch. If you've never watched it, it definitely gets a 10. All of these are actually 10s. Well, actually 7.8 on this one, but Bridget Jones's Diary, I don't know. Not everybody in here is really like a compelling character, so maybe that's it. Plus, it's just your standard like love interest type of movie.
It's not standout plot or anything.
Yeah, like Clueless is funny and has all of the other mechanics. But anyway, number 5 is The Graduate, based on the novella by Charles Webb. this one, it says here, the movie doesn't need to add any proper jokes to make the story funny.
I didn't even know it was considered a comedy.
I didn't think so either. Dustin Hoffman's performance highlights the awkwardness and uncertainty of Benjamin Braddock. It's a deadpan masterclass, but Charles Webb's novella isn't quite as comedic. I don't remember it being comedic. Not just not quite as comedic, but I don't remember it being comedic. Anyway, The Graduate remains a hilariously irreverent movie for anyone graduating from college or stuck in a transitional phase of their life. I don't know. Maybe I should watch it again. It's been a while. This came out, The Graduate came out in 1967. You throw that on a 4K screen today and you'll just be looking at pixels. So Mrs. Doubtfire is based on Madame Doubtfire by Anne Fine. One major difference is the ending. In the book, Daniel is given a job as Miranda's gardener so that he can spend more time with his children. He doesn't host a Mrs. Doubtfire TV show like he does in the movie adaptation. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's from several years ago. I think it's okay not to have a spoiler alert.
Just letting everybody know. Of course, I'm doing it after the fact and like 3 decades after the launch. Anywho,
I have no doubt Robin Williams, though, amped it up. Like, it just seems like he would have added so much comedic whatever to it. Yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is based on the Douglas Adams novel. Don't need to really go into that one. Submarine is by Joe Dunthorne, which I have never seen this. Ben Stiller presents a comedy that doesn't let principles stand in the way of progress.
I've never heard of it.
Nope. Submarine is based on a Welsh novel written from the perspective of a socially awkward teenager who explains away his failure to fit in as a sign of immense intellect to protect his fragile ego. And then Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. I've never seen this. I don't know how I feel about it.
This is supposed to be really good. I don't know.
The dialogue is all Anderson's too, along with about 90% of the plot. So I guess it's inspirational from Roald Dahl's adaptations, but Wes Anderson builds on the thin source material with his own spin on the crime genre. Mr. Fox is a career criminal struggling to settle down under pressure from his family and his community to submit to a life of domestic order, but unable to resist his need for adventure. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Guess we'll have to put that on the list too. Come on. Weekly movie night.
We're racking up several for the continuity report.
Just take this whole list and we'll just do movie night. One night a week. It'll be part of the Patreon. Stream it through Discord to friends and family. And no, nobody else can see that. Anyway, if you were looking, there was a blue bar for a minute, but...
Oh, okay. I missed the blue bar.
Only you see that. At any rate, folks, that is it. So we are done. And that means that I'm going to... What are we going to do? How should we do this? We're going to close the book on tonight's episode. And on the back is ohmtown.com. And that means we're done for the night. Sleep well, everybody. It's late, and Mayor Watt is old. So I'm
Good
gonna.
night, hometown citizens.
Go ahead. Go.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for today's Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode, and don't forget to go back and watch all of our 2,000 plus previous episodes.
Yeah. Oh gosh, cannot believe that. So 3 years, and now we're at the beginning. We're heading towards the middle of the 3rd month for year 4. Be sure to follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Download the podcasts. If you want all of the podcasts, all of the shows, then just subscribe to Non Sequitur News. If you want all of them broken up into individual podcasts, subscribe to the 6 other under the ohmTown name. That's what we publish under ohmTown. And then Non Sequitur News has the most. We're on 4 years. This is on the other shows are 2 years old. So anyway, we're out of here. Actually, not even 2 years old. This is the second season for most of the other 6 podcasts. The weekend shows are well, they're weekly. Whatever. Anyway, see you all later. We operate like a well-oiled machine.